Loud. Okay, all right. So last session, Antu, just a little bit of overview. We talked about the four purusharthas, the human objectives. Does anybody remember what they were? Dharma, artha,
Dhamma,
kama. Yep.
moksha.
Kama
Moksha.
moksha. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Dharma means right living. Artha means earning. Kama means enjoyment, and moksha means freedom. Something we all do. We are living the life, we're earning, we're enjoying, and we're also trying to, undo some of the stuff that we have been attached to. Right? That's moksha. So, and then the three qualities that are present in everybody, which was sattva, rajas, and tamas, right? And then nobody is purely sattvic or rajasic or tamasic. We are all a combination of all of these three in different percentages. And sometimes we start the day being a lot more sattvic. That's why they say that you shouldn't start your day with social media, which is even I'm guilty of that. And then I notice that, you before you know it, it's an hour later, and like what did I achieve in this whole hour? So yeah, sattvic is they say that it starts bright and early in the morning, which is why we have the brahma muhurta as well at that time. And then rajasic is the time of day that we are working and all that. And then in the evening when we come back, tamasic, just we get a little bit lazy, and we want to put things for the future and all that stuff. So we see that combination all throughout. And then we have the four varnas. Um, are there anybody in the waiting room? Oh, there's three people in the waiting room. Okay, let me admit them. Hello, ladies. Sorry, I uh, I just added you guys. Okay, all right. So then we spoke about the four varnas, which is Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, and the myth of why a person thinks that just because they are born in a certain varna, that they are that varna, versus you have to qualify and you have to practice. Like if you're a kshatriya, if you're born in a kshatriya family, you will have, maybe you may have the tendencies of it, but then you still have to practice being a warrior, and practice it. Same thing with being a brahmin. You have to practice, um, understand the scriptures and the knowledge, and gain the wisdom from it. You don't just automatically become something just because you're born in it. Then we had the four ashramas, which was the brahmachari ashram, the grahastha ashram, the varnashram, and the sannyas, again. So we all start off as a brahmachari or brahmacharin, where we are, going to school and getting knowledge and all that. And then we are grahasthas, and then we start to retire, and that's varnashram. And then sannyas, where you are learning to be detached from things and just focusing on things that actually mattered. People start getting a lot more spiritual, and more aligned with different scriptures and things like that later in life. Because of that, it doesn't mean that that is only when you should become, because the earlier we are, it I feel that it helps us um, not react to everything. Rather we respond to things that matter, and we don't respond to things that don't matter when we have that kind of knowledge early on about whatever scriptures we follow, whatever higher level of wisdom that we follow. The earlier we start learning about it, the more balanced we will be. And then we talked about why there are so many gods. So, does anybody remember about this one? Um, your interpretation of it. If you do, please feel free to We yeah. Somebody wants to say something. Is it Gayatri? Uh, Gayatri Shenoy, or I just see G Shenoy.
Yeah, that's me.
Okay. Did you want to add something? Did you want to say something?
I can't remember what we spoke of last time, but
Hmm.
uh, my personal belief,
Yeah, please.
yeah, is that um, as humans, we are not able to think of an abstract God.
Hmm.
So it helps us to focus when we have a form.
Yeah, Nirguna and Saguna.
Yeah, Nirakar, Nirguna,
Yeah, Nirakar, Nirguna
yeah.
and Saguna. Yeah.
So
Hmm.
hard for us to imagine a Nirakar God. So since we make it more personalized to our um, sentiments, so to say, like
Hmm.
imagine her as a mother, as a father, as a sakha,
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
because of that we give different avatars to the gods.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And it's based on our needs and different things. There are gods pretty much for everything, even for parts of our body. There's God for that, right?
Right.
And uh, the way I look at it is that the the God, the Almighty, is like an ocean, and then the various gods are the taps. And the analogy that I think of is that when you the the water comes through the taps, but the water isn't in the tap. It comes through the tap. So it's the gods are there. It all comes from one source, and they have all been given those um, they have been given those strengths to help us overcome the things that we need to overcome. And the idea is that while we can stay in one plane and one God, like many will look at Lakshmi, or many will look at Shiva or anything, which is not a bad thing. But then we should also always also think about, okay, where is all this coming from? And um, that's where that respect for all gods come in, versus just my God and your God, which is what a lot of battle over is about. Is not thinking about the universal and not thinking about the oneness that is there in all of in all that we think is divine. So it's like the CEO analogy, where there's one CEO and then there's so many VPs and so many, like chief of whatever it is. But then there is um, one supreme, whatever that name is. And that when it's an nirguna, that means there is no sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. When there is no gunas, it's there's no way for us to interact, or that's why we need that saguna to be able to interact. And when it comes in a saguna form, it has a name. The god has a name, and that's why that name and strengths and all is associated with God in a particular form, because otherwise it would be formless, and we would not be able to interact with it and have that more human connection, or basic connection that we feel with God, because it has a form, a name and a form. So that's why there are so many gods. That's the way I look at it. And then the nature of suffering, I know a lot of people found that interesting, which is adhyatmic, adhibautic, and adhidevik, um, where we adhyatmic is the suffering born through mind, adhibautic is suffering born through people, and adhidevik is suffering born through nature. So of these three, the only thing that we can control is the mind, adhyatmic. Even when there are people or situations that come across for us, the only way we can is by trying to. Oh, there's two people in the rooms. Okay. The only way we can feel balanced without feeling like overwhelmed and all that is by knowing that there are some things that are within our control and many things that are out of our control, and by understanding that difference. Okay, this is beyond my control. When people are doing something and I cannot change them, all I can do is change the way I respond, or create boundaries, or whatever it is to minimize the amount of suffering that I would go through. So, yeah, this is all that we talked about last time. So, we'll take a couple of minutes and have a discussion, and hear from some of the folks that joined. Sorry, you guys were sitting in the waiting room for a little bit. Did you guys have any questions, in the last? It's been a while since we talked about all of these things, so just wanted to take a pause and see if you had any other awakenings after you walked away and had different. You look at things differently, right? So any of those things that you can share?
I have one,
Yeah,
Sonia.
please. Yes, please, Deepika.
Um, so I recently lost my dad end of June. So
Oh.
the timing of this was very crucial. And one thing that really resonated with me from the last session was ability to forget the pain also is a blessing from God.
Mhm.
And that is something that you have to embrace and understand that it will take time and heal. So that's something that remained with me at the end of last session, and I want to focus on that more in my life.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you for sharing, and I feel for you. Prayers for you and family.
And
Anyone else? That is a really good way to look at things that we learn, how we can apply it in our own lives. Just go ahead and unmute yourself if you have anything to share, please. Otherwise, we can just move on. So today, let's. Why is this not more? There it is. Okay, so today we were going to talk about many lives, many masters. So Nitaka, she's read this, and she was suggesting that we should look at this, and should we look at this as a follow up? And I think it's a great topic because a lot of us coming from India, we know we've heard about all of this, and we know that this is a concept that we are taught, right? That we are not this body. So many lives, many masters. I listened to the whole one actually. It's really not that uh,
long, yeah.
yeah, it's really not that long, and I think Gayatri also did listen to it. I just listened to the second half this morning because I wanted to complete it really quickly. But he's a psychiatrist, and through hypnosis, he discovered that his patients were describing memories of past lives from even as old as 500 years ago, 600 years ago, um, and that was, to me, was mind boggling that people, we repress so much of our, which again comes to forgetfulness, right? If we did not, we would go crazy in every life. We would go crazy because we couldn't let go of the past lives. So that's why we have that forgetfulness. But sometimes we um, we take the trauma with us when we go from one life to the other, and sometimes it's just so bad that you can't move on in this life, and you need to understand what it is. Why are you being held back? And that's where I think things like this really help. So he was helping them heal with anxiety and trauma, and he led them through reincarnation, karma, spiritual growth, and the idea that the soul goes beyond earth, beyond death. So the core message is from his book is that we may move through many lives, learn many lessons. We are constantly resolving and actually creating karma. We are resolving and creating, resolving and creating. So we have to figure out how to resolve but not create new karmas if we want to get out of this cycle of rebirth, and how we evolve through love and compassion. So those were. Anybody else read or listen to this?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
did
Yeah.
heard
this
it. Yeah,
morning.
very interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, very interesting one. Yes,
I've read
exactly.
all of his books actually.
Oh, you have.
Yeah, yes. In the past, I've read all of his books, and one thing he really talks about is, identifying what the cause is
Mhm.
by going through past life. So he used to do this past life regression
Mhm.
hypnosis to understand why, about why, and then he focuses more on self growth, on forgiveness, on compassion,
Mhm.
on love. Okay, so that's the part of the book that's what he focuses on.
His framework.
Whereas,
Yeah.
yeah, if I were to do like, how does it relate to Sanatan Dharma? Yes, of course, that we are not the body.
Mhm.
We do have rebirths, but Sanatan Dharma goes like a little bit deeper
Mhm.
in the sense of it doesn't matter about your past life. It doesn't matter. It's more about who are you at the end of the day. Who am I that is reincarnating? Who am
Mhm.
I think that's the focus. The two us I mean, this one is, yes, how to understand yourself, understand the why, understand the past life, and then grow
Mhm.
from it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, very well said. Yes, yes, yes. Very true. And yeah, that this was a really good. It was a good listen. Like a couple of hours. It was a really good listen, and I could relate to a lot of things that he was talking about, and even whatever the person Catherine was going through um, during her session. So I came up with these six ones, and I tried to compare them with what he was talking about in his book versus what Sanatan Dharma also talks about. So the first one is the soul is eternal. In many lives and many masters, he says that the soul survives physical death and continues its journey through multiple lifetimes. And Sanatan Dharma also talks about the Atman, which is the unborn, one that is eternal, it's indestructible, it's never born, it never dies. And in Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 2, verse 20, um, Bhagwan says that self is never born, it can never die. You cannot cut it with a knife, and you can't kill it, and all those things he gives as examples. So it completely relates to how our culture also teaches us, our scriptures teaches us. So the second one is reincarnation. Reincarnation in this book, he talks about individual experiences that come through the lessons that were learned, and people evolve, lives evolve, and even the soul actually evolves and rises up. So that the focus is on individual experiences in lifetimes. And Sanatan Dharma talks about, again, rebirth. Punarjanma is the foundational concept. And in verse 22, uh, it says that the soul takes on different bodies just as a person dies. A person changes clothes, just like we change clothes every day, three times a day or whatever. It soul also takes on new bodies. When our clothes become old and torn and all that, we give it up and we get new clothes. Same thing applies even for the soul. The soul goes on with the body as long as it can until the purpose for that lifetime is filled. If the purpose is not filled and the body gets old, uh, it has to get rid of that body and start in a new body and continue from where it left off in the previous life. So that's why a lot of times you see even children as such young children, being musicians and singers and all that. They're so superbly talented, even more than me at this age. And you wonder, how did they start off that way? It's because they had that from their previous lives, right? So um, then life is a school. So in many lives, many masters, he says that each life presents lessons that are related to love, forgiveness, patience, and growth. In Sanatana Dharma, it says that earthly life is an opportunity for spiritual evolution and self-realization. The experiences that we get, both pleasant and painful, become opportunities for growth. So when we don't look at something that we didn't get or was painful, um, and not that we don't have sorrow over it, we are human beings, we have sorrow over it, but we learn from it as well. um, and then see, what am I supposed to learn from this? That's what I think we all do, right? um, I do the same thing, because otherwise at the end of the day you're just sitting in pain, and you feel like you can't move forward, which a lot of people also go through that. um, so I'll take a pause here. What do you guys think about all of this? Any other points that you wanted to add?
I have some thoughts
Yeah, please.
or questions.
Yeah.
So, um, and one interesting thing was that in every he mentions that in every life,
Hmm.
uh, uh, her genes or her progeny or whatever ends. He said she was never able to, like, her
Genetic line did not continue. Yeah.
was not able to, like, go on in life. That was very interesting. The other thing I had a question about was, so let's say that, so to me it looks like it's like a matrix, or it's a fabric, like everybody is like interwoven and connected to each other in many lifetimes, right? So when one of us gets to where we are supposed to be, and we evolve, and we get enlightened, and we escape the matrix, so what happens to the rest of us on that journey? Like, I was like, so are we like, so is someone scripting this for us? Is it already scripted such that we continue like this many, 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 many lifetimes? We are all the same people, just playing different characters in that fabric of that particular era, 1927, 1932, whatever,
Hmm.
it was like very interesting. So then, is there freedom of choice? Are we choosing, or
Mm.
are we already made to follow a certain script?
Mhm. Mhm.
You know, and
Yeah. Are we just like puppets?
puppet, and the evil person in one life was an evil person in the other life too.
Mhm. Mhm.
Again, going back to, like, yes, we are given chances to evolve, so you can, every birth you take, your good karma follows you, whereas your bad karma also is like keeping account, right? So,
Mhm.
it was like, it just got me thinking, like, so can we really escape this, or are we all meant to be together and together and together for lifetimes? So just a
Yeah. Yeah. Very interesting. Yes.
Yeah.
Swati, you were unmuting. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, I can maybe answer that question and try to answer that question in different ways. So, yes, Gayatri, right? Your
Mhm.
name? Yeah.
Mhm.
So, so our karmas have actions and reaction. Okay, so it's like Newton's law, right? Every
Mhm.
action will have an equal and opposite
Mhm.
reaction, and that's one thing. There's the other thing about learning a lesson. So
Mhm.
it's sometimes we experience the same thing over and over again. It's like a school. I'm a student, I'm in class 5, and I keep failing in, let's say, math. Unless I pass that examination paper, I cannot go to the sixth standard. Okay. So, sixth grade. So that keeps repeating until I realize how to tackle that problem, how to respond to that problem, and what do I learn from it. I cannot move on. So that's why that repeating pattern. So when she was not, whoever in the book was not getting progeny, or the progeny used to die over and over again, what was life trying to teach, or what's that person learning from there? Until then, it continues. As far as people are concerned, like, yes, groups of souls reincarnate as long as we identify ourselves with the body, and we
Mhm.
say that, okay, she was very good to me. I have to, be grateful and give it back to her. Or she was mean to me and I have to teach her a lesson. Or it goes on. If we believe that we identify ourselves with the body and that experience, only few souls are able to get out of it and say, okay, all this makes sense when we are within this realm of this karmic exercise. And I can also share with you, like, so I do Vedic astrology. And then your question is, do we have a choice? Yes, absolutely, we have a choice. We have like free will,
Mhm.
for anything that happens, because that life situation, maybe we don't have a choice. Like, it's raining outside, right? We cannot stop rain, but we do have a choice to carry an umbrella. We do have a choice of not planning a cricket match or a soccer match versus watching a movie and enjoying with our friends at home. We have a choice to respond. To realize that, and then to break away from that. Moment I realize I'm not of this world. I am in this world, but not of this world. That that is where you get, liberation from. You break away from the karmic cycle.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, very true, very true. Yeah, very well said. And I think that's
Hey,
where that
Sonia, I'm
ah
so sorry. I'm going to be driving. I'll just continue to listen.
huh.
I know you guys are just seeing a S over there or whatever weird name, but it's me.
Okay, no, no, I see Sam Simon.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's just my weird internet sleuthing spy name.
No worries, no worries,
Okay,
no
okay.
worries. Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Hey,
Yeah.
and at some point, please address this one thing because I don't know how much I can pop in. I'm going to be on the freeway. So you know the Dr. Weiss, right? He talks
Mhm.
about how his child died at day whatever 27, got
23.
diagnosed with
Yeah.
a terminal,
Mhm.
literally a terminal cardiac condition, and dies. So I've had a very hard time figuring out, because see, what does Catherine, what does that woman say? Whoever talks through that woman, she says, your body gives up its soul or whatever when you've done everything you need to do in this
Mhm.
life or whatever. I have a
Mhm.
hard time reconciling that with a baby dying. They haven't had a
Mhm.
chance to do anything in this world. Helpless little beings, and when they die, that's maybe that's why I could never do pediatrics. So
Mhm.
yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah, chance to reconcile that in my mind. So if y'all could please add that as a question to respond at some point.
Yes, yes, yes. And I think that also goes back to what Swati was saying. Yeah, we don't know what they have come here to, what is their purpose. Their purpose, if their purpose was just, um, they have to complete these so many lives and so many lives and deaths. That's all they're going to do. It could be, we just don't know what that relationship between the two souls was in the prior lives which caused this to happen. We just look at it as this life, and it's so much more than that one life. So yeah, we'll get to it in a little more detail. Yes. And then the fourth one was karma and consequences. I know we talked about it. Swati did, about actions and choices that influence our future experiences. And Sanatan Dharma also talks about karma links the action with consequences across lifetimes. Choices, they shape the future circumstances and the spiritual progress. So rather than, you know, I mean, being in a victim mindset all the time, that, why is this happening to me, and why is everybody mean to me, and why. We should, but the why should not be to blame others. It should be to really understand the why. What is happening, why is this happening to me? And once we understand that life lesson, things will change. Things will change, and because your perspective on how you look at everything around you changes. You don't look at yourself as a victim or in that world. You look at yourself, okay, this is a lesson for me, that is a lesson for me, and you move on. So that is also actually quite empowering, um, and it helps you elevate in this lifetime also. And then spiritual evolution, in many lives, many masters, he says, souls gradually mature over many lives. And Sanatana Dharma also talks about the soul evolves in awareness until it realizes that it is, like Swati said, it is not in this world. It's not of this world. It's just from a divine nature, and this is just a part of its journey. It's things that it needs to learn in this, so that you can go back to whatever you are thinking about, gaining the higher realms, or whatever moksha means to you. That's what the soul is here for, to understand with awareness. And then with love and compassion, I think Brian Weiss, and love and compassion was one of the highlights of his lessons, was that everybody needs to have that. And there was so much pain in Catherine's life, and she was carrying that pain, you know, generation after generation. Every time and one time the father was a certain, came as a certain role. Even I think her boyfriend came as a certain role. Current boyfriend was in a certain role in his previous life. So they're not all going to come back. The father is not always going to be a father. The son is not always going to be a son. They will have different relations based on what their uh, the resolution to whatever the problem was. It needs to come through in that next life, and they have to take a different relationship with you at that time. So and then Sanatana Dharma also talks about compassion, self-service, selfless service, actually, and then devotion, bhakti, which is the central um, pillar of all the spiritual qualities. So that was some of the things that I noticed, which were similar to what we had, what we are talked about. So forgiveness, like Deepika was saying, it's a strength. It's not a weakness. Actually, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about, or Bhagwan talks about it, 4 times, and he says that it's a feminine quality. Krishna talks about all the different qualities: intelligence, knowledge, truthfulness, self-control, which I need to have over food, and forgiveness, which again I need to have over myself for not having self-control. But that all that arises from him. He has several different shlokas in which he talks over forgiveness as a divine quality. So forgiveness is not a weakness. It helps us move on to something. Forgiveness isn't really forgetting, which actually, if you think about it in the way of reincarnation, you should just let it go and like finish the chapter right there and not carry anything with you, because you don't want to live it again in the next lifetime. And the only way we can do that is through intellect, by buddhi, by knowing that intellect is an instrument that we have, and understanding that the intelligence or the discernment, knowing what to do, when to react, when not to react, when to respond, when to just be quiet. The more we start using that, rather than, and I'm saying that even for myself, rather than being reactionary, is when we just um, get get stronger and stronger. I think there is a you may have all heard of this. There were these two workers that their job was to cut trees, and one of them, the more they cut their tree, the more money they would get. So the one guy would uh, try to cut the tree all day long, but then he realized that his knife was getting weaker and weaker, and he couldn't cut as fast. And then he noticed this other guy, he would go take a break every once in a while, and he would sharpen the the axe, and then come back, and it would come back and cut much faster and much easier. And so he asked him, and he said, "No, I'm just sharpening my axe," which is what these qualities, when we just react rather than pause and think what it is we are doing, and use intellect wherever it's needed to understand, do I need to do this, do I not need to do it, that those tools get much more strengthened, and it becomes automatic. You will not react a lot. And you may have seen it in some other people. There are people, you say something to them, they won't react, right? And you're like, why are you not reacting to all this? Why are you not getting upset? It's not because they don't care. It's because they know that there are things that are outside their control, and then there are things that they can control. So focus your energy on where you can control your things, right? So do you agree with that?
Absolutely.
So it helps us to let go of our resentment, and then separate the person from the action, because the person, like we all know, the person, the body is one thing, the soul is one thing, and that particular action it could be something from our past that is just coming because it needs to be done, and it's being done at that time. So we should not isolate and look at that action, and let God take care of whatever needs to be done. As far as punishment, we don't need to be worrying about all of those things. So the next thing is karma. Karma comes from the word kru dhatu in Sanskrit, and it's just so it's used in a wide variety of words. But there are four kinds of karmas. One is nitya karma, which is our daily obligatory duties, things that we do all the time as part of being a mother, as part of being work or whatever it is. And then there is naimitya karma, which we do because they are festivals or fasting or shraddhas, or different occasions due to which we need to do those duties. And then we have the kamya karma, which is desire driven duties, like working and making money, business. Those are kamya karmas. And then the last one is nishid karma, which is duties that you should not be doing. I mean, prohibited duties. Like when I say duties, it's like work or actions that you should not be doing. Like people should not be taking a bribe. That's prohibited duties, right? People should not be hurting other living beings or whatever it is. That is a duty. So these are things that we shouldn't be doing, or we shouldn't be hurting people's feelings. We shouldn't be saying wrong things about people. Those are all unwanted energies that we shouldn't bring in our lives. So these are some of the different facets of karma, and based on all these different karmas, we also accumulate karmas. As we are doing, we are also accumulating. With these and again, this applies to me as well. Like when we are doing our obligatory duties, what kind of mindset do we have? Are we just cooking because we just want to get it over with, or we're cooking with love? It's very hard to cook with love every day, right? It's not easy. so but as much as possible, I have to try to remind myself when I get irritated. I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, I don't want to do this. There's 20 other things I'd rather be doing, but then at this moment, this is the thing that I need to be doing, so let me just do it happily, and rather than put negative energy into this. So yeah, anything you guys want to add on this one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sonia, I have a
Yeah.
question about this.
Mm.
Or I'm just actually thinking about it as a karma is basically, or these obligatory duties are things that we should do and
Any
should
kind
not
of
do,
action, yeah, any
right?
kind of, yeah.
And a lot of times I feel conflicted about these things, right? Or, for example, the Naimitya karma, occasional duties.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be much more diligent when we were in India about lighting the lamp, evening lamp, and things like that. But here I genuinely don't have the time and whatever else, time and plus, the other factors also,
Mm-hmm.
which I stopped doing it. But then I'm also feeling guilty about, oh, I've not done it. So I'm wondering if there's some sort of a compass that can tell me that, okay, yeah, it's okay if you do this, if it's okay if you, because I know it's not so black and white, right? It's sometimes it's okay to do it, sometimes it's you must do
Yeah,
it. So is there
yeah,
something that you follow that helps you to, as a guide, to tell you what's
yeah.
okay to
See,
do, what's not okay to do?
yeah, I think personally with me also, I don't light the lamp every day. I should be lighting the lamp every day, but I don't. I remember growing up, my mother used to do it. My mother used to light the lamp morning, evening,
Yeah,
open the door for Lakshmi
yeah,
and turn the light on, and like
that's
all
right.
those things that
Yeah, yeah.
we were
Or the
doing.
festival, now
All the
Ganpati is
festivals,
coming, and my
yeah.
mom makes so much of food that
Uh-huh.
day,
Mm-hmm.
and I barely make a fraction of it, and that also
Uh-huh.
I'm like, by the end of it, I'm exhausted and
Yeah, yeah. But I think
tired.
I
So
think the idea is not how much you do, but the intention with which you do it, and the dedication and the devotion and the love with which you do it. You can just cut up a fruit and put it in front of God, and He will be happy as long as that is you're giving it with love. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be any kind of elaborate thing. There is no competition. God doesn't, according to me, God doesn't look at, that other house there did all of this, and you are doing,
yeah,
you're making five modaks or something like that, or you're even buying something from outside and doing that. You don't even have time. It's not that, because Krishna says, uh, pushpam phalam toyam, uh, leaves, flowers, water, and what was the fourth thing? Leaves, fruits,
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 fruits.
fruit. Yeah, fruit, leaves. Leaves means like tulsi, flowers, and water. If you give even that to me, but you give
Oh,
it with devotion, I will accept that. So he doesn't say you have to mix it, make it into kheer, or make it into a garland and give it. He's not going to say no. The thing I have to remember is that we're not doing it just for him. We're not making him happy. We're trying to connect with him, right? What is it that will help us connect? Like we connect with our children.
yeah.
I mean, our children require a lot more than what God requires. That is what I can say for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, I think we look at all these duties and we think about them in relation to this material world, and we always feel like we're not doing this. But if you
Yeah.
focus on what it is you're doing and do that with love and dedication, I think that, and don't look at what somebody else is doing. That is the other thing that we all do. We
Yeah.
compare.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's not so prescriptive.
Yeah,
It's
it's not
what we
prescriptive.
feel and what, like you said, intention. I think that's the key word there. The
Yeah, yeah,
intention that you do it with.
yeah. Swati, do you want to add anything?
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, this is really beautiful. I really like, that you do so much study and then you make this PPTs with the karma and all. I'm really so glad to be part of this. For the duties, where like making first of all, like lighting lamp or anything like that. It's like you rightly said, it is connecting with God. God really doesn't, everything belongs to God, right? We are just plucking flowers or buying from Vivek's and then offering. He doesn't really need it. It doesn't matter. It's like, suppose I have my child, uh, for my birthday, when the child is small, using my own money to buy a gift for me. Okay. But it's the like, but you're so happy to see that okay, even if it's a little drawing or a little thing from the garden or something like that, you feel so happy. So it's a connection. Just like, if I were to go to Sonia's house, maybe I would take something, right? We are taught, like, from our mothers, like, don't go empty handed. Take something, even if it's a little,
Definitely.
if was like just a smile or a good wish. So same way, when we connect to God, it was meant to be thinking of God and connecting to God. And how do you connect? You offer, or anything you do, like, Sonia, when I went, there were certain phases in my life when I went through very hard time, where I had to do things which I felt were, initially I used to feel, oh, these people are so demanding. They want me to serve them with water, this, that, that. Finally, I made peace with it, thinking, God, I'm doing this for you. Okay. When I'm not really doing it for the person, I'm doing this for you. Do it through me. So that's how
Yeah.
I made peace with that, and then felt less irritated or less sad about doing that, because we cannot all react in the same way, right? You cannot confront, because the person is like that. Yes, you forgive, but I would say yes, because this is also about forgiveness. You forgive the person, you don't judge the person, but at the same time, don't lower yourself there to react. Move away when these things happen, till you are able to then be in that space, um, and show love and compassion.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah, very
Yeah.
true. I remember, Gauri, that I have this mogra plant outside, and it gives these little buds, and then they just die. I mean, they don't bloom at all. And I think a month and a half ago, I thought, okay, I need to put some potassium probably or something, so it'll start blooming. And I went one day outside, and I saw this beautiful mogra bloomed completely, and a double mogra is what it is. And I was just so happy that I put that in front of God, and with the tulsi leaf that I had, and agarbatti and diya, and yeah, like Swati said, everything belongs to Him. Everything, him or her, again, there's no gender, but everything belongs to God, and we are just
Vehicles.
yeah, and we're appreciating what God has given us, and we are giving some of it to Him, and then using that as prasad. This is prasad. You've given us this. We appreciate you giving us this, and then we will eat it. I mean, his energy is in it when
Yeah,
when you offer it to them, and that's why we offer
that's right.
some sweet, and then we say, okay, this is prasad.
Yeah,
Not that he's eaten it or not eaten it, but that energy is different when it comes
that's right.
comes back, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, even if it is a spoon of sugar that you want to put, and then use that to make something sweet later on, or put it in tea and drink it, yeah, it's still good. It
yeah,
doesn't have to. There is no prescription that it has to be this way. That is the beauty of this.
that's
It
right.
makes it complicated also,
Yeah.
and we'll talk about choices and free will again in a little bit. So then, like for rebirth, when we have rebirth, so we talked about karma, all these different kinds of karma. Karma is cause and effect. So the karma is the principal cause of and you get actions, intentions, which shape our experience and our influence in lives. And it just goes on and on. So when a person goes from one life to the other life, what do they carry with them? They carry their karmas with them. They carry their sanchit karma, which is like accumulated karmas. It's like a bag of seed, and some of them have sprout and some of them have not sprout yet, and the ones that have sprout, are ready to bear fruit, that's what you're going to get in this lifetime. And then there are seeds that have not yet are not yet ready, and those are going to remain as sanchit karma. So prarabdha karmas, you cannot you cannot um, stop them from happening because they're already happening. What you can do is, again, change the way you look at it, change the reaction to it, or the how it unfolds. Just but you cannot cancel. You can't say, I don't want prarabdha karma, I'm such a good person, why do bad things happen to me? It's because of prarabdha karma. It has to finish its cycle. The good part is that when you are God loving, I'm not going to say God fearing, God loving, when you are thinking that I'm a good person, I'm doing right things, that prarabdha karma, that the fruit that you do get will not be as bad as it would have been. So even though we may think it's bad, um, it's probably not its worst because of what you have been doing. You've been a good person. It is as minimal as possible it could be for that particular situation. Sanchit karma are karmas that are, like I said, stored of karmic impressions. It can sprout at any time, and it can cancel because it has not bloomed yet, or it has not sprouted yet. So that can be canceled based on your the karmas that you are currently doing. Prarabdha karmas cannot. And then there's agami karma, which is future karma, which comes from the choices and the consequences that from the consequences from the choices that we do today. So again, the way what Krishna talks about in Bhagavad Gita is that when you're doing karma, when you're doing anything, and he says that, right? Karmane vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalaheturbhur ma te sangotsva karmani. So it means that you have the right to action. You don't have the right to the fruits. So we don't have the right to the fruits. We don't know what the fruits are going to be. So do the action and just say, God, I'm doing it for you. Just like I think Swati said, God, I'm doing this for you, instead of having ill will and doing it wrong or not doing it or something like that. Saying, God, I'm doing the best that I can, and I just offer the fruits of this to you. So then you are released from that karma. At least you're not creating any future karmas, good or bad. And that's one way to kind of lower your baggage from one life to the other life. And then kriyamana karmas is the actions that we are performing at the moment. And then like when I cut my finger, it's going to bleed. It's like immediate action that happens, which is not very, very common, but yeah, it happens. So these are the 4 kinds of karmas, and the way they kind of interact within our lives, and in how they carry on in the future lives. So hopefully that made a little bit of sense. Anything to add here? And so I think somebody asked, what is I'm going to move this over here. So if we're all bound by karma, do we have free will at all? And yeah, we do have free will. Do we have a choice? We have a choice to choose or not choose, but every choice that we make has a consequence, and we have to bear that consequence. So even after all, speaking about all the Bhagavad Gita, the wisdom, Krishna doesn't tell Arjuna, see, I've told you everything, now you must do this. You have to do this. Now, don't say no, you have to do this. But he rather says that I've told you everything that I can tell you, reflect upon it, and then you act and choose wisely. Because when you make a choice, your choices will create new reactions. So it's not God that's creating those reactions. It's we that are doing it. So that's the way I look at it. If we no choice is also a choice. If we choose not to do something, that is also a choice, and that will also have a consequence. Somebody is a child is trying to cross the street, and a car is coming. You have a choice, like, oh, I may be hurt, but as a human, it will be very difficult to not help. So you do make that choice and say, okay, I'm going to go help this child and make sure that that child is not hurt, which is what a lot of people do. So that is good karma. So hopefully this kind of makes sense, that even after everything, even Krishna says you have a choice. You do have a choice to but every choice has a consequence. So it's not like you do have a choice and you're home free and you can do whatever you want and there is not going to be a consequence. So anything to add here from anyone?
I just want to say, do we have a choice though? Really, do we?
Really, do we?
Do we?
We-
Because there is a
it's
scene in Mahabharata,
uh-huh.
Krishna, Pandavas, and the Kauravas go to
Mm-hmm.
Bhishma Pitamaha lying on the bed of Shaya, whatever, the
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
Krishna and Bhishma Pitamaha slyly looks at Krishna and he says, I think that is when I don't know when, but one they go pretty much every night. Somebody or the other goes to
Mm-hmm.
talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the times when he goes, he looks at Krishna slyly and says, uh, "This is all you're doing. Don't pretend like you don't know the end result of this is going to be." I mean, look at all the characters. Like Shikandi was born to slay Bhishma Pitama.
Mm-hmm.
Krishna was born to slay Arjuna. So literally, do we really though? And you consequence, like Parikshit Maharaj builds a
Mm-hmm.
tower because somebody tells him he's going to die because of Takshaka
Mm-hmm.
snake. He builds
Yeah.
a tower and people make sure that no snake goes in and out and all that. So he did his karma. He tried to, avoid his death.
Mm.
Then Takshaka gets in as a little worm in a fruit and finally gets him, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, do we really have
I
a choice?
think, can I say
Yeah.
something?
Yeah.
How I
Yeah.
look
Please.
at it is
Uh-huh.
that I think this really can be connected to the nature of suffering that we saw, Sonia,
Mm-hmm.
about how much is in our control, how much is in the control of other people, and how
Mm-hmm.
much is in nature's control.
Mm-hmm.
So I think every choice we make has to be looked at in a very moment to moment. It's like, a moving camera. So in this moment,
That is a
I
choice.
have
Yeah.
a choice
Yeah.
of being here and listening to you, or,
Mm-hmm.
being outside and doing some other work,
Mm-hmm.
right? So how much of it is in, or let's say if there's a power outage, that's not in my control. Then I have no choice. I mean, then maybe it's meant to be that I'm not supposed to be here, and therefore, I can't be here. Then I have no choice. So I think, I don't know if I'm making sense, but I feel it's like we need to look at it from a very micro view. And if you look at a
Mm-hmm.
big picture, yeah, karma and all that, but right now, right here, what is my role? What am I
Mm-hmm.
needed for? Is there something more important outside that's calling me? And then it's not my karma to be here. It's my karma to be outside and attend to, let's say, my daughter or some guests who've come and I need to serve them food. So that
Mm-hmm.
might be my karma in the moment. But whereas I'm
Yeah.
ignoring that to be here and participate,
Mm-hmm.
kind of a thing. Or we have a choice in the way we feel. I might not like what you're saying, or may not,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but I have a choice to not be angry and instead, let's say, be curious and say, okay, let me see what I can understand out of this. What is her point of view? And,
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
certain places and certain ways we have a choice, and in some ways we don't have a choice, and we need to know where our choice lies.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. And I think when we are thinking about a choice, we are thinking about not just what's going to happen at this moment. We try to think like a chess, oh, if I do this, this will happen, that will happen, that will happen. And then we end up not making a choice, or we make the wrong choice because the wrong choice wasn't what was required to be made here. There was a particular choice that was required. Like in the beginning, when Arjuna doesn't want to fight Krishna, so the Kauravas in the battlefield, and he says, "I don't want to do this." He had that choice of not doing
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
but he was thinking about the larger thing. Like he was getting bogged down by family and relatives and all the lives that would be lost, and then Krishna had to bring him back and tell him that at this particular moment, if you don't make a choice, which you'd have a choice to not make a choice, but then things will not change. You will still go back to the same thing. You will still have the same disrespect. You won't have anything and all that stuff. And he cannot make a choice that will affect not just him, but it affects the entire population that he represents, his brothers and his citizens, or whatever it is, the villagers and all those people he's making that choice for them. So he's not just making the choice as my relatives. So when you're thinking about a choice, it's much more than um, a personal choice.
Yeah. Versus
A
the
lot
role
of,
you
yes,
played. Right?
yes,
Yeah.
because leaders many times have to make a choice which they are not comfortable making, but they have to because that's their work role at that time to do that. And so, but yeah, if you think about uh, the choice that you do, of course it will have a consequence. If you don't do it, it will have a consequence. But if you make the right choice, at least you will feel good about it and say, I may not completely believe in this, but I know this is what I had to do, um, because it was for the betterment of the company or betterment of the country or whatever it is. It's at that time it's more than just your personal choice, or it could be for the family, versus just you. If you don't go to school and you don't have you choose not to go to school and you don't choose not to study, will that have consequences? Yes, it will have consequences. Everything has consequences. And but then how much of it was the karma that you chose, that like, okay, I that was part of my karmic balance that I had. So yeah, I think we have that little bit of um some are more clearer than the other, I would say.
And it also helps to, I think about how we arrived at our choice, right? So
Hmm.
even that helps you to know whether you've actually made the choice or you've just been there by default. A lot
Yeah.
of times, like I think Swati or somebody said that I would serve guests angrily and, with a lot of resentment, and like I was the victim. But the moment I thought I was doing it for God, I felt differently. So she made the same choice of serving the food,
Hmm.
but the attitude she brought to it was very different. So that was a choiceful way of doing it versus a default way of just being resentful and feeling victimized about it.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Very true. Very true. Um, okay, so let me go to the next one. Let's see if it will take me to the next one. Okay. All right. Just really quickly, I wanted to go over, um,
Sorry, is this
because
up to 1:30, Sonia?
yeah,
Because I'm a little
1:30. Yes,
drawn.
yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah. It is up to 1:30. So we'll go over this one quickly. We've talked about reincarnation, and this again is a very busy slide, but some of these things you may have heard. Um, like the five koshas, the sheaths, you may have heard about it, where Annamaya kosha, which is the physical sheath, which is the body, and then there's Pranamaya kosha, Manomaya kosha, Vijnanamaya kosha, and Anandamaya kosha. So the question is, where does what travels from one life to the other life? If you look from right to left, um, yeah, right to left. Sorry. if you look from right to left, we will begin with the Sthula Sharira, which is our gross body, a physical body. This is the body that we can see, we can touch. We're born with this, we grow, we have experiences, we have life, and we eventually we die. But then Sanatana Dharma asks us, to look at it deeply, in a deeper way, to say, are we only this body? And to that, the answer is no. Within our experiences, there are different layers in a which is called Panchakosha. These are the five sheets: the physical, the vital energy, the mind, the intellect, and the causal sheet. The bliss. Sometimes you feel like that, even though you're in this body. You feel like at bliss. You can't explain why you feel happy about something. That's because you've connected with that particular sheet of causal happiness. So, and then Vedanta also talks about the three shariras, which is the gross sharira, where we are born and have our lives. The subtle sharira, which is the mind, senses, intellect, ego. It also carries samskaras, which is and then vasanas, which are called tendencies. Some people have the tendency to do certain things, or are attracted to certain things. That's because they have those tendencies. Vasanas are and samskaras are can't think of the word. Samskaras are like the impressions that we are born with. We are born with certain impressions, and we have certain things that we like, certain things that we don't like. Those are the impressions that we are born with. When a body dies, the Atman doesn't die, and it doesn't travel anywhere, because it's eternal and it's unchanging. So what continues? What continues? What continues is the jiva, the individual being, which is associated with the sukshma sharira and the causal karan sharira, and it continues through takes the samskaras and vasanas with it, and these tendencies that we have accumulated over lifetimes, they are the effects of the karmas that we have accumulated from over lifetimes, and that's our baggage from one life to the other life. So it's not really a physical baggage that we have, but it's a baggage with attachments, with desires, with habits, with karmic consequences, with impressions, and this is what we experience our current life, and then our future lives based on these things, these tendencies. And so that's why the image, it shows that as we get older, one body dies and then a new body is born. So it just like in Gita it said, the soul just changes bodies from one to the other. The circumstances change, the roles we play will change, but what doesn't change is that Atman, the true self, that will be ever connected, ever the same, and it is connected to the divine, and the super soul, which is also in our body, but it is it's like an ansha of it, like a small piece, small part of it. The divine is in each and every living being. Whether it's an ant, whether it's a human, it's there along with the jiva. What goes is the jiva goes with its tendencies, takes on a new life, and then and some of the karmic balances that we have get washed off, or completed, and then if we are fortunate, we don't carry any new karmas with us, or otherwise we have some new tendencies, new karmas that we accumulate in this lifetime, and then it just goes on and on and on. And the idea is not just going like this, but probably going, keeping on moving up as we go, and eventually breaking free from this cycle. I don't know. I can't say from experience. So I am still trying to understand all of this. But the goal, it should not be just from moving from one body to the other body, but even now in life, there may be times when we feel overwhelmed, and we wonder what it is that we are doing. That's what I was wondering, that what are we doing? What are we here for? What is the purpose of it all? And the purpose is to be free from these samskaras, or the tendencies, and free from our vasanas. And the only way to know that is to understand that we are not the body, we are not this mind, we are not the experiences that are happening to us. Our true nature is, tattvamasi, consciousness, bliss, happiness, consciousness, bliss, joyful consciousness, bliss. So, and something that doesn't die. So we are just temporarily inhabiting this body, and then once we are done with it, we will move on to the next body. So we are not the baggage that we accumulate, but we are the Atman, the unchanging self. So that is what this whole idea of the experiences that Catherine was going through, and she was also talking about the masters sharing something. I couldn't figure out who the masters were. Uh, could anybody?
The masters are basically evolved souls.
Okay, you also.
Yeah, they may be higher than. So there are evolved souls who come in to help. There are spirit guides. So there are many levels of the soul evolution, and so you can call upon them, and they will come. They will not interfere with your karma, but they will guide you. Okay, then there are gurus, like we have gurus and rishis and the higher beings, evolved beings, basically. So they are the ones. And
Okay.
and if you if we achieve their if we receive a grace of God, if we receive the grace of a guru, yes, he or she can help, get you out of that. But for that, you have to really
Yeah.
surrender. So to that. I'd read a story about Ramakrishna, Paramhansa. He was telling his disciples one day about story about karma, about there was this. He and his disciple were going through a forest, and it was night. So at night, so they decided to rest. And the guru said, I will sleep and you keep a watch. And he said, okay, I'll do that. And then they were taking turns. So then he wakes up and asks his disciple to rest and say, I'll keep a watch. And then there is a snake that comes in, and the snake wants to bite the disciple. He's about to use his fangs to sting, when the guru asks the snake, hey, why are you doing this? So he says, "Oh, you don't worry about this. This has been going on for lifetimes. He killed me, so I kill him in the next. Then he will kill me, and I will kill him. So this goes on. We do that." So he said, "Okay, but what are you after?" So he says, "I'm after his blood." So then he says, "Okay, so if I give you his blood, will you be fine?" He says, "Yeah, I'll be fine. Then I'm done with this, like my revenge in this life." So what the guru does is he takes a dagger and he cuts a little cut on his disciple's neck, and gets a few drops of blood and gives it to the snake. And the snake is happy that he got the blood and he's gone. So that's he kind of ends that karma for his disciple. Now
Kind of like,
disciple
okay.
is he's awake. He sees the guru with the knife, like he's trying to cut him, and he goes back to sleep. So after that, the guru, asks him, "You saw me with the knife. You knew I was going to slit your throat. You didn't do anything." And he says, "Well, the knife was in your hand.
Mhm.
So that's why I went. If it was in my hand, then it would be different."
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, very true, very true. Yes. Yeah, that's a very good example. Um, so just understand that you're not the suitcase or its content or even the traveler. You are the ever self, ever free self. And then last, I think this is the last one. So the way I look at the purpose of human life is to understand, to gain wisdom and knowledge. And what is knowledge? Knowledge isn't, like PhDs and double PhDs and doctorates, which is good. You should study those things, but true knowledge is the knowledge of self. Who are we? Why are we here? What's the purpose of all of this? And how does that equate to the divine? Then to elevate and serve those around you through seva, to deepen your connection with the divine through bhakti, to live in balance, whether it's, one day is happy, one day is sad, um, just living in balance and accepting whatever is happening to us. Not doesn't mean that we shouldn't feel sad about it or anything, but um, like we were talking about, everything that we do can carry um, a karmic new seed. So just live in balance, especially when we are sad, because when we're happy we want to be happy, but when we're sad it's a little bit more difficult fulfilling our responsibilities, by while appreciating and enjoying the gifts of creation, knowing that nothing we have in this world, nothing actually we have is created by us. Everything is created to whatever. It's like cooking a dish. You give in a few vegetables. We all can make a different dish out of it. Doesn't mean that we created the vegetables. They were given to us. We can't create something out of nothing. So true creation is when you're creating something out of nothing. And no human can do that. So we are all enjoying God's gifts, and we should appreciate that. And to act without attachment to the outcomes and avoid creating new karma phal, whether good or bad, and moving towards the higher self. Um, that's the whole presentation. So I think we have. I want to be respectful. I think we have 6 minutes. If anybody wants to, if anybody's not spoken and would like to share something, um, I'll go ahead and stop sharing so I can see people's faces. Yes. So, there was some chat. Let's see. Runanubandha. Yeah, there's a word called Runanubandha. Um, yes, relationships that we live with. Yeah, that's so true. Um, yeah. So, any last minute parting words, Purnima, or I know people have to dropped off because it's. I don't know what is a good time to have these conversations. It's like a very difficult. Saturdays are never good, I think, but I truly appreciate all of you, coming along with me on this journey, because it's been it's not been easy, because a lot of things we know are true, but we keep, I think, fighting with ourselves and saying, no, this can't be possible. No, this is not possible. But then as you grow older, you realize, yeah, this is it. This is possible. This is for real. Yeah. Anything you want to share? I'll go ahead and stop the recording, actually.